Live episode of the Relevant Recruiter Show. Today we've got a fun one. We have got Melody Mounts and Kortney Harmon with Crelate here with me today. And we're going to dig in, and we're actually just going to dive into a demo of Crelate today. You know, as you guys know, choosing the right ATS and CRM can feel like walking through a minefield sometimes. There's so many options out there. And how do you really identify one that truly, fuels your growth and streamlines your process? And, I've been hearing so much about Crelate, have a lot of clients that are using Crelate. And so we're going to dig in today so you guys can just see one of these options right now live. Now, Melody is the account representative, really in charge of professional services. And she does a lot of these demos, handles a lot of the training on the back end. So you're going to see from one of their trainers exactly how they're showing people how to use this. Kortney's just a fly on the wall today. She's just going to sit here. She's just going to be quiet. I've already given her strict instructions not to talk. Okay. But she is here. She's present with us. I want you guys to know that she's in good spirits. So Kortney, I'm going to give you just a chance to say hi, and then we're going to mute you. Okay.
No one wants to hear me talk. That's fair. I understand. I have pneumonia right now. I'm so sorry. I appreciate it. We're super excited to be a part of this as we partner with you. And we truly know how important getting this right is for the industry. And so we're just excited to be able to share this with your audience as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. And even though you're a little bit under the weather, now for our main guest, now that we got Kortney out of the way, I'm just kidding. Now that she's been on the show for 30 seconds, I've been granted permission to call her Mel now. So yes. Mel, welcome. Hello. We're excited to see the demo. Before we get into that, can you just let the audience know, give us your background, what were you doing before Crelate? What are you doing with Crelate? And then we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Super excited to be here. It's great meeting you, Donnie. A little bit about myself, guys. I have been with Crelate for about 4 years now. So as Donnie mentioned, I sit on our professional services team. So handle everything from training, migrations, all the fun stuff of moving softwares to another software, implementations, doing, testing of new code, new features. So a little bit of everything. I myself actually come from the recruiting background. So before Crelate, I was running a desk, running recruiting teams, running sales teams, producing myself. I worked for Manpower Group, which they have like an IT arm called Experis. So did a lot in the IT space, whether it was contract, perm. We did a little bit of contingent, retains, a little bit of everything above there. So I loved the IT side of things, and found during COVID, Crelate reached out to me and was like, hey, are you sick of recruiting? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So I actually ended up here. I love being recruiting adjacent because, again, I loved recruiting, but I love more just teaching you guys how to do it and best practices and working within the software. So yeah, that's how I ended up here.
Awesome. Well, thank you for giving us the update on the background. Ooh. Let's just dive in.
Let's do it.
So if you want to go ahead and share your screen.
Cool. And you
guys will start with kind of like a high level of the features and things like that.
Absolutely. You'll get a nice side profile here. So I have you guys on my other screen. So just ignore that. Let me pull this up for you. All right. Can we see that on our end?
Yep. We should be good to go.
Beautiful. Cool. And I have you pulled up on this other screen.
This one's going to be better here. All right, cool.
Awesome. So I have pretty much all the bells and whistles in my Crelate here just to kind of show you guys we have separate modules. So if you're just doing recruiting and sales, obviously we have Crelate Recruit for that. If you're doing contract and you have your onboarding and you're doing timekeeping, we have 2 separate modules for that called Crelate Omni. So Hire is handling all of the onboarding checklists, e-signature stuff, all the fun stuff on the contract side. And then our Deliver module has everything as far as like invoicing, timekeeping, all of that good stuff. So want to give you just a high level overview. Obviously up here, you guys will see I have a bunch of different tabs broken out here, mostly recruiting. That's where recruiters will live. That's where their open jobs show up here. So they can go directly in, see their pipeline of candidates. We're going to go in a little bit deeper, but just to give you a high level snapshot. Business development. I don't know about you guys. My husband obviously still works in recruiting as well. So I know the market's weird right now when it comes to business development. Things are slow. And I have customers that have never had to do business development now needing to do it. So we have a whole separate tab here to just really manage all of the cold outreaches, get in touch with prospects, And then eventually the hope is it turns into more of a lead and then hopefully down into a job. I'm actually going to walk you guys through how this whole cycle will work here. We have a whole spot for task and events. So this is great. I'm very much a type A person where I like to have everything in one spot. I want to, check off what I have to do for the day. When I was recruiting, I was the same way. I had my checklist, my call list of things I had to do. So we have a whole separate area for that. Intake is really just going to be for any external applicants coming into the system. So Crelate does integrate with your website, and we have free job boards attached to that as well. So when I post a job out, if it's connected to the website or any of the job boards, any of those external applicants will come into here. And then again, we just have our onboarding tab, what I talked about, our separate module of Crelate Hire. So to manage all of those checklist items. So again, if you're in the healthcare side of things, maybe you're checking in on all of your immunizations, licenses. On the IT side, this was great if I did like any sponsorship of candidates and I had to check in and see when their visas were expiring, or just I-9, W-4, all of that good stuff. So that's pretty high level there. Donnie, anything here before I start to dive in on just kind of going through the whole process flow?
No, but only for those that are listening with us live. If you do have any questions, if you're finding value in this demo, just go ahead and tap that like button or some sort of reaction. But go in the comments and ask questions, and I'll field them as they come in.
Cool.
Go. Let's do it.
Sounds good. So starting with the business development tab here, you guys will see I have a bunch of different opportunities in a sense. And this is where, again, I'm doing my cold prospecting, outreach, just trying to get a hold of people here. So you'll see I actually created one just called Mel's Prospecting. So when I click into here, you'll notice Crelate is very much a drag and drop system, which I really love. I previously, when recruiting, used Bullhorn. I used a couple of homegrown systems. So not just because I work for Crelate, I do love visually the UI in here and how it's so easy to just drag and drop people through the process. Again, I know recruiters were all very visual, and just seeing our pipeline laid out like this was something that I really loved. So everything's customizable in here. You guys will see this is just kind of like our default workflow stages that we have. So starting off, I have, these are the people I'm targeting. The nice thing about this is I can target companies or I can target people themselves. So you'll see I'll have those in here. Then from there, I'm doing my outreach. If I want to put all of these people in a stage, I can highlight them all, move them into a stage. It's taking a second here. Perfect. And you'll notice anytime something gets updated, when I double click in, it'll all add into the record itself. So everything is time stamped. I can keep track of where everything is at. And this to me is like my daily login of where everything is. What do I need to follow up on? So this is great for like, all right, I did all my outreach. Now I can actually highlight all of these people or companies. And at the top here where it says 7 selected items, then I can actually, again, follow up and do a task. I can add all of these to a sequence, which we'll talk through that a little bit further. That's more of like your drip marketing or your campaign to send out those automated emails. So the way that I would work is, again, I'm putting everything in target. I'm moving them out to outreach, and then maybe I'm throwing them in a sequence. That way I'm not having to do so much manual checking in, constantly updating, doing the 7-step outreach, knocking on doors. This is just a good way to keep myself organized. Then from there, like hopefully again, they're responding. We have our pitch and presentation call with them. What I really love about this is now let's use this one here. I'm gonna click off of that. When I move this to our stage of new lead, this is automatically then going to create a lead for me. So this is, I've talked to them. Maybe they have an open opportunity that they're thinking of working with us with. Down here under job title, let's say I'm going to just throw in, they're looking for a dog walker. Don't judge my typing. We can throw in potential value and probability, which is great for any sales forecasting reports. So if you guys are looking to do, again, like, hey, maybe potential value of this is we're paying these people a lot to walk a dog. 100,000.
Build up the pipeline.
Yep, exactly. Fill up the pipeline. Probability, I think, of us filling it is maybe 50%. So then down the road, when I start to look at reports with you all, you'll see, hey, potential value of us closing all of these right now, about 50%. Cool. And then once I finish that, it kind of stays in that area here on the prospecting side. And now if I flip over to our sales tab, then in here, this will show any new leads that I have. So you'll see here's our hard Scrabble one. The sales dashboard here is really managing, again, now that it's a warmer lead, I'm having those conversations. Maybe I'm doing a job in order intake with them of like, hey, what are we looking for? Is this a backfill? Is this direct? Is this contract? What are we looking to do here? And you'll notice I actually have some automation set up in here. So when I move this hardscrabble position to job order intake, I actually have where it pops up all the questions that I would normally ask. The biggest thing I always stress is, especially for recruiters that have been doing this or salespeople that have been doing this for a long time, they kind of store everything in the back of their mind. It's great to have a form in here. So then if we're hiring new people, training people up, maybe, we have a recruiter that's now going to be doing BD. This is just a great way. It's not a script, but just to give them talking points and what they need to ask. And all of this gets saved in the record itself. So the recruiter can actually see how it was answered.
Is that something that you guys have kind of pre-built in?
We do. Yep.
And then is that something that they are able to customize too, or is it just
absolutely?
Kind of,
yep. So we have just some kind of normal questions that you guys would typically ask, but you can of course customize these however you want. You can have multiple forms as well.
There was actually a question from the audience: is what's the difference between the business development and sales tabs? And I think you're going over that right now. So Stuart, if you have any follow-ups after watching this, please chime in.
Definitely. Cool. Awesome. Then from there, what I really love about this is, again, let's say I'm moving it now to its in progress, meaning it's an open position. We're actively recruiting on it. When I move it into here, it's going to ask me, okay, what type of job is this now? Is it a direct hire? Is it just contract? We'll say this one for the sake is direct hire. I can put in all of my fields in here. These can be customized as well, guys. You can also require anything. So if there's certain fields that have to be filled out, you can absolutely on the back end go ahead and require anything you need. But once I go ahead and finish that, now it's in my in progress stage on the sales side, which then automatically flips it over to the recruiting dashboard to show me any open jobs I'm currently working on. So just kind of to recap, business development, that's for my cold prospecting, people I haven't even talked to. I'm just trying to target business. Sales is going to be more now, it's a warmer lead and hopefully now turning into more of a job opportunity. And then we're kind of managing the job from here. And then the recruiting tab is, again, managing all my current open positions. Cool.
Yep.
So once we do that, now the recruiters, and you can customize any views you want. I personally like this view here where it says viewing open jobs. I actually like to change this to all candidates. This to me is like my Monday meeting with everybody, checking in. Where are things at? What do we need to follow up on? I see for this job, we have these people in screening. We have these people in submittal. This is great too, because I can actually move them right here, stage to stage from this view itself. So all the views can be customized as well. Cool. So let's click in. We'll actually do this ABC Hotel one. So same kind of view in here, guys. It's drag and drop. These can be customized. I will say we did a really good job of putting in just default stages that pretty much match what most of our recruiting firms tend to use. Keep in mind, it's meant to be more high level. But in here, again, drag and drop. We have our outreach. We have screen, submittal, interviewing, offer, place, pass. We can set all of that up. So there's automation in there. You'll notice what I really love in the outreach stage here. I have a sequence set up. So again, let's say I'm trying to get a hold of these candidates. Hey, I know you'd be a great fit for this job. That was something, again, when I recruited, I constantly had a follow-up list to make sure I follow up with these people again and follow up with them again. This is just a great way to take that manual process out and have more of that automated sequence happening in the background. So you'll see when I drop Aaron into this outreach stage, it's going to ask me, do I want to put this candidate in a sequence? If not, let's say I already know Aaron and I can say, nope, I don't want to add them to the sequence.
Got it. And you can set that up for both the recruiting and the business development?
Correct.
Or sales, however we're kind of quantifying
Yep.
that.
You got it.
Somebody just commented and said, my Crelate account doesn't include the BD tab. Is that different kind of levels of the account, or is that something you guys customize?
It is different levels of the account. So if you're on business, you won't see that. Business Plus, you will have the business development tab. So if you're on Business Plus, you just have to go on the back end and enable it.
Got it.
Great question. Cool. And then again, guys, from here, so if I click into the candidate record itself, you'll be able to manage everything. You don't even have to come to the workflow if you don't want to. I always tell people when I'm training them, there's a lot of different ways to see the same thing in Crelate. It just kind of depends where you like to work. I personally like to come to the workflow area, but I find, again, a lot of recruiters tend to come directly to the candidates page itself, so they can actually see everything that's going on right in here.
So you can still move your candidate stage to stage through their page.
right from here. So if I want to move, this person to ABC Hotel, let's say I'm putting them into interviewing, I want to go ahead and log an interview. Same thing, we can set up any forms. We have default ones in there that I think are really helpful just to do debrief with the candidates afterwards.
Right.
But now once I finish that, you guys will notice everything gets logged in real time. Cool.
Perfect.
What else do we have here? Obviously, we can send emails directly to the candidate from here. We have a lot of recruiting templates that you guys can create. So this is awesome for a lot of times in my old systems, I didn't have email templates, and I'll never forget it. And Kortney's heard me tell this story 100 times, but I was sending a bulk email to about 200 people, and I said, "Hi, Sharon." And needless to say, I had some really nasty emails back of, "Hey, my name's not Sharon." So just a great way to set up a template. So that way, again, it's going to auto-populate information in. Just to show you guys what this looks like, let me pull it up. So we have those mail merge fields where I can put in like, "Hi, insert data, contact, first name," and all of that will auto-populate in. So it looks like it's more personalized.
Perfect.
Cool. Yeah. So then from there, we're working through our placements, going through the process with all of our jobs. Everything gets documented directly on there. I do want to dive into sequencing really quick. So let me pull it up just so you guys can see what this looks like. So we'll use this example one for the candidate outreach, as I mentioned earlier. What's really cool about our sequencing feature is it's going to manage where everything is at in the process. It's going to give me step-by-step where are we at. So you'll see here's our next action, what's failed. So if somebody unsubscribes to an email that I've sent out, it'll all show right here in the results for me. If they respond, I can say, was it a negative or a positive response? So you'll actually be able to see we have a bunch of metrics in here. And one of the really cool things is down at the bottom, you'll notice it actually shows metrics per step versus just for the overall sequence, which I think is great to see, just because, again, maybe my phone call, was really successful, and then my second email, not so much. So I can always switch up my messaging. I just want to show you guys here the layout of that. Sorry if you hear my dog. The Amazon truck does not leave my street. So I apologize.
Does it not leave your street or your doorstep? That's what I want to know.
Who knows? It's definitely me.
This is the second delivery in the last 15
Right,
minutes.
exactly. It's either that or DoorDash. My neighbors are like, "What the hell?" But in here, guys, this is where we can set up our cadence. So maybe the first one is an initial call, and then for there, 3 hours later, I have an automatic email going out, and then I'm doing a follow-up email. I really like sequencing for, obviously, BD outreach, right? That's great to have for prospecting. It's great for candidate outreach. And then I also have it set up in my Crelate for kind of like a placement check-in as well. I know when I was recruiting, I would do the 30, 60, 90 check-in just to see how things were going. But it was a lot, right? I had to put it on my calendar and make sure I follow up with everybody. The second I move somebody to a place stage, I can have that sequence kick off, and then it's just running in the background.
Yeah. That's awesome. You guys have so sequences is where you guys can set up the campaigns, right? Like the drips, right?
Correct.
And you guys have the other feature that allows you to kind of single send it, so to speak, or something like that.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So we have a couple options. We have in here, let's say if I just go to my contact screen, let's highlight a bunch of people. So again, drag and drop in here. I have the option to, again, send a bulk email, which is just a one-time email that goes out, and you can use your templates. We also have where I can start a campaign. So biggest question I always get is, what is the difference between sequence and campaign, bulk email? Bulk email, again, it's a one-time outreach.
Okay.
Campaign is a one-time outreach as well, except for we get metrics with that. So I have a lot of customers that use that for like newsletters or just reaching out to their account manager, see what's going on to their clients. And that'll show you who's clicked, who's opened, who's unsubscribed, but it's just a one-time email. And then sequencing, that's where we have a cadence. So that's going to be like your drip marketing.
Awesome. I had a question come in, and I think it was, I'm going to be a little bit off of this, but I think it was the screen we were at before. It said, I would love to be able to reply in this setting. Right now, it's just about journaling. I think it was a couple stages ago, right when you were in the candidate section there. Colleen, correct me if I'm wrong there, but yeah, she just said I was hoping that, or I would love to be able to reply in this setting. I think.
Oh, yes, that is in as a feature request. So we have the ability to send emails from here, but you can't like reply. You would just go to your Outlook and reply. The nice thing is, though, we do have email journaling. That's what she's talking about in there. Yeah. So if that's set up, if you're in Outlook or Gmail and you're emailing back and forth, it'll capture the back and forth communication in here.
Got it. But that's something you said that might be in part of the development is
correct.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. Absolutely.
Excellent.
Cool. Anything else on sequencing? Again, it's pretty high level in here. I don't want to pull in my trainer hat and show you guys step by step everything. But like I said, it's a pretty slick feature that we have directly.
You can do sequencing for a lot of different things. I can do sequencing for business development. I can do sequencing, like you're saying, for kind of, post-placement type of thing. I can do sequencing for gathering testimonials from both clients and candidates.
Absolutely. That's a great one.
Yep.
You can use them for, and we have, I think the starting is you can have 50 active sequences at once, but of course we can talk through limits and all of that fun stuff.
Right.
And when you're done with the sequence, you can make it inactive and that'll open up a slot.
All right, cool.
Cool. I want to talk a little bit more on the recruiting side here. So I'll show you guys our search feature. So when we leave this empty and click go, this is going to take me to search within Crelate. And I used to harp on it. And I know Kortney, we've talked about it. And I'm sure Donnie, you've stressed it too. Like obviously the first place I want to go as a recruiter is my database. There's nothing worse when I'm paying for a database and we're not going there first. We're going externally to LinkedIn and we're going to Indeed. So to me, this is like just my golden star here. So this will take full on Boolean strings. So you can put in, I think, up to like 8,000 characters in here. So you can build out your Booleans. You'll also notice on the right-hand side, we have some just basic filters. So you can search through contacts, documents. We have a tagging system. So if you're using another ATS, it's like your skills. But ultimately, those can be extremely helpful if there's something maybe not as relevant on somebody's resume, just to help you kind of search and categorize people. We have radius searching here. This is a little trick I used when I was recruiting, area code, because I would look nationwide for people. And I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, and people would love to come back to visit either cost of living or family here. So I would actually search on their area code and get them to relocate. So love that we have that in Crelate or the entire state. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to throw in a couple people. Let's do sales, see if anything comes up. All right. So you can actually change the way you view your search results. I'm going to show you guys a couple different options in here. So this one to me, I can double click in. I just put in keyword of sales. I can look at Lee, pull up my resume here, and it's going to highlight anywhere it sees the word sales. And I can go right down the list. So I don't have to exit out of each screen, keep going back. It's going to keep it all in one screen for me. We can also do, if I just want to see the resume, you'll see this little hyperlink. I can click on resume, it'll pull it up for me. I can search through and again, go right down the list. So if I'm doing just some quick sourcing in here. One of my favorite features is we actually have a map view. So at the top right, you guys saw here where I clicked on list. If we go to map, this is actually going to show me where people are located and I can zoom in and I can hover over. So the difference in colors, red is like an exact address location versus blue is kind of grouping people in a general area. So this can be great for like NPCing or skill marketing of like, hey, we have a ton of sales managers in this area, or we have a ton of developers in this area. So just a great way to kind of see visually on a map where everybody's located. Cool. What I like here is then you can actually highlight a bunch of people. Let's say I want these 6 people. At the top here, I can then send an email. I can add them to a list. I can put them in a sequence right from here. So this is awesome if you're just doing your quick sourcing and I'm wanting to put them on a list or put them in a sequence. Or maybe I just want to log an activity that I, called them, or I want to follow up in a couple days to reach out to them. So just a good way to do some bulk outreach. Cool. Yeah. Anything else in there that we want to see?
No, I think it's really cool that you guys have got it to where it's like the drag and drop, you can just highlight. And yeah, that's killer. I think that's really awesome. Killer.
Yep. And of course we can always do control if you don't want to go right down the list.
Right.
Pick and choose. So cool.
All right. I'm going to jump in while Mel's going to the next thing. I don't know if we highlighted this in the beginning. Crelate actually stands for create relationships. So that we have put a ton of focus on the little things to help you guys move faster and more efficient. So that's one of the things that I didn't know for a while I was here. Create relationships. That's what we stand for. And that's what we help you do easier and faster with your candidates and clients. Absolutely. Okay, I'm done talking. I won't squeak again.
No, you're good. You're good. Good call out there. It's to the point where my phone just autocorrects create to Crelate every single time. So
years now. Yep, absolutely.
Right. Cool. So yeah. And then again, guys, like from here, I can add all these people to a job. So you'll see add to opportunity. So I can select and put in maybe that ABC hotel one that I was working on. So I can add them directly there, which is great because then when I go back to my job itself, boom, you'll notice all those people have been added. So I love too that Crelate remembers the screen it was on. So I don't have to constantly keep opening new tabs or having to go back every single time. It'll remember the last place you were in. just to call out some basic reports in here before we look at some additional reports. On the right-hand side, this I love because it's just going to show like average time in a stage. So how long are people sitting in stages before we move them to the next one? I think this is great for, again, maybe some client feedback of, hey, I've had this person sitting in, submittal for 57 days, and I have another client where it's sitting there for 3 days. What's going on? Or, hey, Mr. Recruiter, they've been sitting in source for a while. Why aren't we moving them to stages? So just a great way to get a high-level snapshot of how quickly are we moving through the process in here. You'll see in here too, we have where most of our candidates coming from. I always joke with our customers of if you're putting a lot of money into Indeed and ZipRecruiter, I hope that this is showing that most of our sources are coming from there.
Yeah.
Cool. And then this one here is just a great one to look at. It's a fall off chart. So where are people falling off in the process? This here obviously makes sense. They're falling off after outreach. If they start falling off after interviewing or maybe, submittals, maybe we need to look back at the candidates that we're sending over. So that's just a great area to look at as well. You guys will see that going back to the sales tab at the top here. This is great just to show some high level sales reports. So expected value per stage, if we were to close everything, value went over time, what's our potential value looking like? So I know this is really awesome to see just in this view here. Sweet. Let's take a look at reports here. I have a bunch that are just broken out, but I will say in Crelate, we set you guys up with what we call standard reports. So if you were to start today with Crelate, we have a bunch of reports. I always tell people probably covers about 85% of what you want to see, whether it's just metrics as far as KPIs go. Maybe it's sales forecasting. Again, we have those candidates report, time to fill, ratio report. So how many, phone calls to submittals is it taking or submittals to interviews? So all of that's already built out for you. But of course, we give you the option to create your own custom reports or filters that you need to. That is one thing I will say. When I previously worked in a couple other ATSs, I had to choose which report I want, put in the filtering, and then have it emailed to me, and it would take about 15 minutes. And then if it was wrong, I had to do it all over again. So this is just a great way. Again, it updates in real time. So if I do an activity or I move something to a stage, this is all going to update in real time for me. So you'll see we have activities. Just a good one to show you here by user. I really like this pivot grid. Now, obviously right now, this isn't the prettiest because it's trailing 90 days, but this is a good way just to show you that you can filter on a time period. So I know when I was recruiting or managing recruiting teams, I wanted to see things weekly. So I could do this week, I could do last week, next week, what do I have coming up? So just a good way to see high level snapshot of what activities are happening.
Going into that. So if I have a team, I have the ability, is there like a main user that basically can kind of see the rest of the team's activity, or is that open to the entire team? Could like the manager, for example, have a different view and see what everyone's activity is versus everyone else, or does everyone have the same access? Great
question. We can definitely set up permissions so people see certain things. If you're an admin in Crelate, you are like the god of the system. You can see everything, but we can set up different views, show them limited reports. So you can have like one report that shows everything and then maybe one just for one-on-ones that you can share with people. So you can definitely customize that as far as permissions go.
All right, cool. I have another question, but wrap up with the reports. I think it's not as relevant to that. So I want to make sure that
don't
take you too far off your track here.
No, you're good. You're good. This is a newer one, duration, which I think is great just to show like how long are people sitting on calls for? What are the quality of the calls? How long are interviews going, screenings? So I can easily see, again, just duration of activities that's going on here. Just more high level ones, candidates, as far as like how many candidates are we adding? Where are they coming from? I do want to show you guys the opportunities. So kind of what we looked at on the sales tab there. This is, again, just kind of high level snapshot of total expected value. What are we looking to close in the next 6 months? How many opportunities have we created? I really like this one here, total expected value by company. So that can really help me forecast down the road. Placements, we have time to fill. So there's a bunch of different just standard reports that are in here. We also have an audit log. So only admins will have access to this. And this is just going to show everything that's ever done in the system. So anything that's updated, moved, deleted. If you delete something, no worries, we can restore it for you. But
so if somebody's bullshitting about their activity, we can catch them.
Absolutely, yep. I had somebody last week that deleted a list of 3,000 people. So luckily they caught it in time and I was able to restore it for them.
Ooh.
So
yeah.
But yeah, and then like I said, you guys can always create your own custom report here. start with a blank slate. I have a lot of people though, if they're broken up in branches or different offices, they'll have like, here's my LA branch, here's my Orange County branch. So you can set it up however you'd like.
Awesome.
Cool. I think that's pretty much my spiel on reports. There's a lot to dive in there, a lot of filtering you can do. You can also schedule an email to go out. So like every, I think Wednesday, I get an automatic email of the activity I've done for the week, which is great. Instead of me having to think every time of going in and exporting and moving it out, it just sends it to me automatically. Sweet. Down here at the bottom, we have an area for marketplace. So this is going to show everything that we integrate with. And you'll see on the left-hand side, you can actually sort by a category if you want to. You'll see if there's Crelate or if it's built by Crelate or one of our partners. We also have an open API, so you can actually build on your own API here and integrate whatever you want as far as, you know, when it comes to an open API piece. But yeah, so this will show you everything you guys can click in, you can see. You can also, some of these actually allow you to get in touch with a contact at one of our integration partners in here, but just a nice, easy spot where you can see everything.
I love the integrations.
Absolutely. Big ones that I see, a lot of our customers, Hire Easy is obviously a big one. I will say we have e-signature, which is awesome because I used DocuSign previously when I recruited, and it was a pain because then I had to download the document, send it out, upload it to the profile. If you use our e-sign, we use it through Dropbox Sign. Very seamless. It goes directly into the record. It shows you the process and progress reports. So that's a big one. If you guys do anything with background checks or drugs, we directly integrate with Checker. They've been awesome to work with. So just a bunch of different integration partners in here that have been really great to work with.
Got it. So I see job boards. I see marketing software.
Yep. Absolutely. We're working on a HubSpot integration as well, which is really slick. So if you're doing your business development right now in HubSpot, it's a great way to integrate directly with Crelate. Sequencing stuff in here. So yeah, you guys will see a lot of stuff.
Now, you know, just kind of curious on your opinion about this, you know, of there's a lot of tools, or there's some tools out there that have like everything integrated within. What do you guys feel that the kind of integrations with the external, you know, why is that better or unique with Crelate?
Good question. I just feel like with us, it's very seamless. Especially like, again, we do a lot with Zapier as well. So if it's something that we don't directly integrate with, Zapier is a great tool to try to figure it out that way. I just feel like, again, we make it pretty straightforward. And as far as setup goes, like just for an example, I'll show you guys. If I go down here to manage my profile and preferences, and let's do integrations. Like if I need to set up Checker, like it's 2 clicks in, super easy to get it set up.
Right.
Or if it's something that we don't directly integrate with, we give you an API key. So that way you can connect the two together depending if they allow open API. So it's just a pretty seamless process.
Nice.
Kortney, anything you want to add to that? I know you're still silent over there, but
intentionally, for sure. No, it's really the idea. We've talked to a lot of partners and talking to our partnership, and it's really, like Mel said, there are people that have built to us and we weren't aware of it, just the ease of use. And we want to be the place where you can manage your business from. We don't want you taking time out, running your desk to go put data 3 different places. We want you to consolidate. We want to make it easier. You know, spinning cycles is spending cycles. We want to save you time, save you money. But from what I've heard from our partners and our vendors, it's really the idea. It's clean and easy. So,
yeah. And I will say from a training perspective as well, they're always willing to jump on a call and do a demo with me, which is awesome because there's nothing worse when we integrate with somebody and then, you know, you don't know how it actually works. So it's hard to guide when I'm actually training, but all of our integration partners walk through a demo with us, show us in real time how things work. So that way your trainer's set up for success as well.
Excellent.
Cool. Honestly, I mean, Kortney, anything else you can think of? We do have AI coming out soon, guys. So in our newest release coming out in September, I'll give you just a quick little overview right now. This is really slick. And our CEO, Aaron, has been really just focused on being smart with AI. I had a couple of systems previously where it tried to do like the candidate matching to a job, and it would be the same candidates that weren't even a fit for a job. And I feel like our development team has done a really good job to the point where I was like, should I go back to recruiting and just use Crelate because now I have AI? So I'm kidding, of course, but this makes it really slick. So you'll see I'm on a candidate record here and we have our little AI co-pilot, and it does great with data cleanup. So you'll see in here, like, hey, it looks like, these are lowercase. Do you want to capitalize them? We noticed that Chris had a birthday. Do you want to reach out to them? We can summarize a resume, draft an email from here, which is awesome because then maybe it's a sales outreach. It's an open, job that we're looking at, and you get to decide, do you want it just to be general, longer? So depending on where you're at in Crelate. So if you notice here, if I go to a job, the Copilot will change, and I can actually generate a job description or interview questions or, search for other competitors that work in this space. So it's very smart in the way that it works. Obviously, again, we're still testing it before we get it out, but just wanted to give you guys a little sneak peek of that.
That's exciting. And that's awesome that you guys aren't looking to use it to save all things and use it where it's smart and necessary. I think AI is phenomenal and can also create some challenges if we're not doing it the right way. So that's
totally
great. You guys are thinking of it, kind of carefully and not just trying to do everything with it.
Exactly.
And let's face it, everyone's using it right now. Everyone's going outside of their system to put in your data and PII into a place where we don't know how it's being used. And more importantly, as that develops and some of the things, as you see our information in our AI, it's using the data that's in your system. So we actually call that the real recruiter intelligence, because it's only making you smarter and that superhero cape that everybody talks about. And it's not somewhere you have to go outside. It's built into your system, again, to save you time and make you more efficient.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, I think it's awesome. You guys have a pretty loaded system. So with that being said, what kind of learning curve can new users expect? And then from the next question from there is like, how do you guys support them with, kind of bridging that gap quickly?
Yeah, that's a great question. So obviously, if you guys are doing a migration, that's going to be a more in-depth process, doing everything over with somebody from my team. And that's great just to kind of talk about the migration side of the house, because I know how scary it is switching systems. And a lot of people, that's what's holding them back is I don't have the time. I don't have the energy to put into it. I don't want to learn a whole new system. Kortney and I did a whole podcast on adoption, and it's always something you're going to run into. But at the end of the day, you guys want to make sure you're putting your money in the right spot and making sure you're getting out of the most out of your system. So when you're doing a migration with Crelate, you do get paired up with a developer and a product consultant like myself, and we go line by line, candidates, companies, jobs, placements. What do you want to move over to Crelate and where? Whereas I feel like, a couple other competitors, it's more just kind of like a jam and go situation. We treat it as, you're finally moving. Let's go across that box in the basement and let's clean it up. So this is where you can rename things and you can filter. Maybe I don't care about stuff from the past 10 years. I only want to bring relevant things. So the migration process is going to be really hands-on, white glove service. As far as if you're not doing a migration, no worries. We do have other training programs where you can either sit in a classroom style and work with a live trainer in a chat, and then you get the recordings and a one-on-one with them. Or if you want that more in-depth training, you can work with myself or any of our other product consultants, and we do workshop style sessions. So instead of me clicking around on my screen and hoping you retain everything, it's going to be more of you share your screen. Let's build stuff out together. Let's talk best practices. And I think the biggest thing is all of our trainers come from a recruiting background. So we've lived the life. We know how it goes. We've worked with other firms that set things up probably similar to you, so we can talk through best practices. We have Crelate Academy, which is, you guys will see it up here. There's an admin course and a user course, and that's self-paced training. So I always tell people, if you're hiring somebody new or just trying to get used to Crelate, you could take it for 5 minutes, walk away, come back. When you finish, you get a nice little certification, but there's tips and tricks in there, scenario-based questions. So it's not just how-tos, it's more in depth of like, here's a scenario, here's how you would do it in Crelate. And then we do have an amazing support team. So down at the bottom left here, you'll see this little help button. So when I click that, it pops up this widget and I can send a message directly to them. This is a live person you're talking to. So we have people both East Coast and West Coast, so available pretty much all day for you. They can jump on a call if needed. If you're not quite ready to reach out to somebody, we do have an entire help center with a bunch of knowledge-based articles that they can search on. So we give you tons of resources on top of just like, hey, free training sessions every day. Here's what we're focusing on this month. We're looking at the client portal if that's something you're interested in, or reports. So they can register for any of our upcoming webinars as well.
Got it. So the training portal, the onboarding training, the support, instant support right
Yep.
there from the chat, the articles,
Absolutely.
the monthly or active ongoing webinars. So support shouldn't be a challenge.
Exactly.
All right, cool.
And I will say too, we do a really good job of just out of the box. So if you were to, again, just sign up with Crelate today, everything's set up. It's automated for you. So if you don't have time to go in and customize everything, we do an awesome job of just doing it out of the box where you should be able
Yep.
to do your job no problem.
Now, a really good question came through, I think. In your guys' experience, what's the most underused part of Crelate that gives the users the most value?
Ooh, my answer might be different. I am in love, and selfishly, if I was still recruiting, would love we have a client portal. So we talked about, you guys can post jobs externally that integrate with your job board, and we have 14 free job boards you can reach out to. But separately, we have a client portal that you can actually put your client in. And I always tell people, you can always test it out with your closest client that you're working with. But you can put your jobs on there, submit your candidates on there, and then they just get a link. They go in, they can review candidates, they can see for the week, hey, how many submittals have we had? How many people are we talking to? You get to decide how little or how much your client can see. So if you have one client that maybe you're doing retained work with and they need to see a weekly update of everything that's going on, we can customize that a little bit differently than maybe more of a high level contingent or contract that I only need to see the people I'm submitting. But let me
Got it. So you can give your client access to your workflow, essentially, of what.
correct.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Yep.
really cool.
So I'm going to show you guys just from a client point of view. Now it's not going to be super pretty just because I haven't set up really nice. But in here, like I can see again, here's a high level overview of how many people I'm talking to, how many people we have in stages. You can submit your candidate on there and then have your hiring manager review. So you'll see I've put in like a bunch of different current position, desired salary. So then in here, it'll pull up the resume. They can give their feedback, and all of that gets logged into Crelate. So that to me is pretty underutilized. And when I tell people like, hey, we have a client portal, they're like, what? So that's something that I think is a game changer. And it's very easy. I know the biggest fear is too of like, hey, my client doesn't even respond to my emails. How do I get them to log into a portal? They don't have to remember a login or anything like that. They simply get a link. They can even bookmark the client portal page if they want to, and then they can easily just come in and see a high level overview.
Yeah, I think that's a great little added feature. I mean,
Yeah.
if a good agency should be able to put that into their kind of marketing process and workflow, just as, something a little bit different, a little extra touch. So
Totally.
yeah.
But that's personally my favorite. Kortney, I don't know if you have anything on your end. I think, again, just getting people to utilize the business development workflow as well, just getting them putting in their cold prospects. Yep. And reaching out that way. And that's a newer feature. So we're really excited about that one.
It's kind of is there anything else that you guys want to go over formally? I want to make sure, Mel, that you've covered everything.
I think I'm good. Kortney, anything I didn't touch on that you can think of?
No, I thought it was great.
Awesome.
I think you covered everything.
So what are some of like the most common problems that like clients that come onto Crelate, ultimately end up solving by using Crelate?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say just being more efficient with their sourcing and outreach,
Okay.
because again, it's pretty easy just to go into our dynamic search, pull people up, add them to a list, put them in a sequence. I know some people that use other systems are kind of stuck on more of a static list, and then they're not really using a workflow at all. So that piece overall, just seeing high level snapshot of where everything is at in the process and being aware of what's going on with their day-to-day recruiters, I think is a big problem they solve, along with, I think, the reports too, of just having that deep level of here's our metrics, here's what we're forecasting, here's what's going to be coming up, here's our time to fill, so they can give that report and, market that out to their clients. What else? Those are the big ones. And then I think just managing like candidate outreach as well. Like I said, the task and events make it really easy to do your follow-ups every single day, check in at a high level. I can see everything that I have to follow up on.
Awesome. Now you mentioned, obviously you talked about the AI. We talked about that a lot. You mentioned maybe a couple other developments, without giving away the secret sauce, so to speak. But, is there anything else that you guys have coming down the pipeline that you guys are excited about that you want to share?
Oh, we have so much coming, especially on the staffing side of things. We're building out more to that deliver side of things that I was telling you guys about with the timekeeping feature and invoicing. We have payroll as well that's going to be coming out. So you can do integrated payroll in Crelate, whether it's for your internal employees, W-2, 1099. So that's going to be released here shortly. And I've been testing that with customers and it's been seamless. So I'm really excited about that. Kortney, what else? The AI obviously is we're pumped about that. We just have a lot of good stuff coming up. And I will say too, just kind of along those lines, in our help center, down here, you'll actually see there's a spot where you can submit feedback. So this is where any of our customers can actually put in a feature request. And we actually have a project manager that oversees all of the feedback, puts it on our roadmap if it makes sense. We'll reach out to our customers, have them kind of spec it out. And I would say each release, we have about 30 to 50 requests that come directly from here that get implemented into the system. So we always encourage our customers, put any feedback in here that you think makes sense to have in Crelate. That way it just ups the chances of it being on our roadmap.
Love it. Now you get to sell. Okay. So if I'm on the fence, if I'm thinking about Crelate, is the right tool for my agency, what are you saying to me to push me over the edge here?
Yeah, I would say competitive pricing. Honestly, our prices are pretty great here compared to some other competitors that we have, especially for everything that you get. Even again, we talked about different subscription types as far as business plus. Even with our business package, you get pretty much everything. So it's not like, we're nickel and diming you guys on that piece there. So I would say competitive pricing, UI, overall use and adoption, I would say is key as well versus, again, some of the other systems where I'm constantly clicking into 5 windows and I can't see a high level snapshot of where everything is at. So those are the important ones for me. I don't know, Court, if you have anything to add to that.
Only thing I would even add is everything what you said was great, and I agree 100%. There is a training element from my perspective, from learning and development over the years, is you have the way to set the system up right with these workflows, the drag and drop, and really that's a training tool for you. That's an L&D person built into the system whenever you have these workflows as easy as it is, and the templates and the forms and everything all in one place. Just think how productive your teams can make themselves and how much more money they can be bringing in if they're not hustled and bustled into the monotony of, well, I have to go over here, or I have to do this, or if I didn't get into the system, it didn't happen, right? Because we all have that mentality. But it's really the idea of just making things easy. I know I keep saying that, but in training people, if it's not easy, people won't do it, and you won't have a clear picture of your business at all.
Absolutely. Yep. I always stress just not letting the tool get in the way of me doing my job. That's what we're here for. Time is money.
Yep.
So
efficiency,
yep.
Productivity. Yep. So other than clicking on my link that's around in the chat, and for those of you that have listened to the recording that are going to be somewhere around the podcast, how would you recommend people, engage with Crelate and take the next step if they're interested in working with you?
Yeah. Kortney, I'll let you take that one.
I would absolutely say click on the link with Donnie. You can reach out to myself or any other people here at LinkedIn. We do have our website is www.crelate.com, and there is a requested demo on there, same kind of concept that's in the link here. But even if you have questions, you're not sold, you're like, hey, do you do this? We can absolutely answer all of those questions just to give you peace of mind to, let's face it, compare what your challenges are with the systems you have today, because that's where we evaluate, does this make sense for me? So we're absolutely happy to answer those questions and help you through anything that might be challenging along the way, or if you want to see more.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for being here. Do you guys have any last thoughts that you want to share?
No, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I know that was a lot to digest, but super excited just to be here and walking you guys through it.
Yeah, awesome. I appreciate you guys coming onto the show, adding value to my audience. Like I said, right on the get-go, I mean, the ATS and this stuff is a very common topic, as you guys like and know. Yeah. And, I've heard so many good things, about Crelate over the years, and excited about what we're doing together, here moving forward. But, you know, just from my perspective, for those that are listening, I mean, it's an awesome tool with a lot of great features, a lot of great feedback that I've heard from my clients firsthand. And one of the things that's important to me is the tool. There's a lot of tools, but the people behind the tools, I think, is probably the most underrated thing. And everybody I've interacted with from Crelate, from Kortney to Mel, to the other sales folks that I've worked with, have been excellent, awesome, responsive to my people. So that's important to me just as much as the actual tech that we just walked through, which is badass. And yeah, there's a lot to bite on and chew there. But thank you guys for coming, being a part, and again, sharing the value. For those of you that did listen live, just hopping in, this will be on my YouTube channel. It will be on the normal podcast here soon. Obviously, you won't be able to see the demo on the podcast, but you can hear it. But if you're listening, hop over to the YouTube channel so you can actually see the demo. Mel, Kortney, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Donnie. It was a pleasure.
All right. We'll see you guys all soon. If you guys did enjoy it, go ahead and tap that like button so more people can see it.